Jai Jagannath, here we are. We are nearing the end of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18 from verse 64. And Krishna is saying, again, hear from me the greatest secret of all, the supreme instruction. You are very dear to me, and this is why I am speaking for your benefit. Okay, this is the best thing that Krishna will do for us. Help us to understand what we are supposed to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And 65. Focus your mind on me, become my devotee, worship me and offer me respect, and you will certainly come to me. I am truly promising this to you because you are very dear to me. This is a very famous verse focusing on bhakti. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. Okay. And 66. This is a very interesting verse. Leaving behind all the differences in duties, take shelter in me only. I will liberate you from all faults. Do not worry. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisyami ma suchaha. So, this verse is probably one of the most misunderstood, because superficial people get the idea that Krishna is instructing us to abandon dharma itself, all the dharmas. Means all the aspects of dharma. We should not care for dharma. We should become, adharmic, without dharma. This is not what Krishna is saying. Also, when Krishna says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisyami, I will liberate you from all sins. So the same people think that, okay, it's great, we can do whatever sins we want, because Krishna, if we become sectarian devotees of Krishna, if we take the label of devotees of Krishna, we will be entitled to commit any sort of crime or sin, because Krishna will liberate us from the sins. And we see what disaster this wrong mentality can take us to. It is absolutely not true that we should abandon dharma. Here, Krishna is expressing the word dharman in the plural. So it means that he is talking about the different dharmas, the differences in dharmas. Means the swadharma, which is, creating the possibilities, presenting the risk of material identification. If we identify with a particular swadharma based on our guna and karma, that will be a material identification. Krishna has said many times that we should abandon material identifications. So these are the differences in dharma that we should abandon. We should stop thinking that we are the material role that we play in society. We should be ready to do whatever is required for the benefit of the entire social body, for the service of God, that is the service of all beings in the universal community. Some people may think that, whatever form of God, so God, but the point is that God is never going to tell us to do something against Dharma. So God will never tell us to go against Dharma, to abandon Dharma. Krishna has repeated this so many times in Bhagavad Gita that if we conclude that Krishna is telling us we have to abandon Dharma, we are, very stupid and we don't have sufficient memory. Because Krishna very clearly said that, for example, there is a very good, nice verse, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. One person, even if he has some bad habit, when he becomes a devotee, a real devotee, of Krishna, very quickly he becomes the embodiment of Dharma. So Dharma becomes his own life, natural life. He cannot do anything against Dharma. So when Krishna is saying the Dharman, the different types of Dharma, it's obviously talking about the duties of our material identity. So taking shelter in me only, what does that mean, taking shelter in me? Taking shelter in Krishna is not a sectarian thing, because Krishna is not a limited body, it's not a limited person. So when Krishna said in the previous verse, become my devotee, manmana bhavamad bhakto, think about me, become my devotee, madhyaji, offer everything to me, mam namaskuru, offer your homage to me. He is not saying you should offer worship and devotion only to one specific form of Krishna and then become disrespectful or offensive towards the other personalities of God. He is not saying that. So we need to understand what is the me that is Krishna is talking about. Of course, it's not the impersonal Brahman, whatever people think the impersonal Brahman is. The Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God is the origin of the Brahman. So there's no point in, but it's not different from the Brahman. So there is no point in making a distinction, because the Brahman, the Paramatman, Bhagavan, are, as the Bhagavata Purana clearly explains, Tattvam Yadhyana Madhvayam, the Tattva that is undivided knowledge, undivided awareness. This is the supreme secret, not because only a few chosen people can become devotees of Krishna and, like the chosen people of the God of the Bible. No, it's a secret because, people cannot easily see the real meaning of this knowledge. Especially if they are very superficial, they still are attached to the material physical identification. They are not going to be able to see the secret. The secret is something that is hidden. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. It's hidden because superficial people cannot see it. So aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Don't worry, like we have seen. Someone who has come, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na sochati na kankshati, samak sarveshu bhuteshu, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. This is where the real devotion starts. So we cannot continue to commit pap, which is the deliberate damaging of innocent living beings, when we have already come to the position of working for the benefit of all beings. So this is why this verse is, this knowledge is described as secret, because foolish people who are very superficial and materialistic will not be able to see the actual meaning. Is this clear?
Yes.
Any question here?
Any question here?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, verse 67. This secret should never be disclosed to a person who has no devotion or austerity. It should not be spoken to a person who is not willing to listen or who is hostile against me. So, this secret should never be disclosed to a person who has no devotion. Means, of course, if someone is not a real devotee, they will misinterpret and misuse this knowledge and make a mess. So the real devotion are austerity. Austerity, what is austerity here? Atapaskaya. Atapaskaya. A person who is not doing tapas, who's not doing, making a real effort in yoga, in spiritual life, in devotion, in bhakti. Someone who wants to get some personal benefit, someone who enjoys gratification, taking, attached to get gratification. So the people who are attached to gratification, if they don't accept the joys of life as prasad, then they will become distorted, and they will try to get fame, name, profit, distinction, worship, power over people, material power over people. And that will be a disaster. So we need, that people should become devotional in the sense of dedicated to something that is not selfish. And austerity means serious engagement. Someone who does not have any austerity, they're just, getting entertainment and lazily, listening to some recitation without really making any effort in understanding. These people are just, paying lip service or, presence, they're present. But that is, true for all the human beings who are not evolved enough, who don't understand the real value of knowledge, the real value of the transcendental devotion, the para bhakti, the spiritual devotion. You'll find people like that in all cultures all over the world. But we have a better opportunity. Other cultures are not giving us so much. So if we don't take advantage, sufficient benefit from our human form of life, it's more understandable. But if in our human birth we are given the opportunity to learn from Bhagavad Gita, then it's a bigger opportunity that we are neglecting. So we shouldn't present ourselves as experts of Bhagavad Gita if we don't have devotion and austerity. What to speak of, talking to other people about this secret knowledge. One should obviously not present themselves as teachers of this secret knowledge. Okay. It should not be spoken to a person who's not willing to listen. People need to become ready to listen. Sometimes it takes a long time. But that is the way that people can really learn. We cannot force anyone to do anything for their spiritual progress, spiritual or material progress. We can encourage, we can support them, we can help them, but we need them to actually learn for themselves. If you have children, who go to school, you know that when the children get the homework, the parent has a strong temptation of, so making the homework for the child. Because that would be so much easier, so much quicker, so much faster. The child is there laboring under the multiplication tables, and you can solve all the questions in 1 minute. But you have to be there, sit with the child, and help the child to remember, to understand, to count on his fingers if need be, and to learn the actual thing for himself. So if someone is not willing to listen, yeah, okay, it's okay. We should not try to force transcendental knowledge on people who are not willing to listen, because they will become negative. They will become hostile. And that will be a bigger problem. So we see, for example, especially in the younger people, in the teenagers, that teenagers need to find their own identity, their own affirmation, their own personality. And to do that, they usually react against the parents, because they want to differentiate themselves from the parents. They want to be their own person. If we put too much pressure on teenagers to follow what we want them to do, if we try to shape them as we want them to be, and put too much pressure on them, instead of giving a good example, we push some duties on them that they are not willing to do, then we can get a very adverse reaction. That effort will backfire. If someone is not willing to listen, let them grow up and become ready to listen. Okay. What to speak of someone who is hostile? Then they will twist everything. They will, do some very, we call them trolls this day. So they will do some very trollish, campaign against Krishna, which is, again, backfiring. So we have to be careful. But if someone is favorable, they want to understand sincerely and develop devotion, then we should definitely help them. Now, verse 68. One who explains the supreme secret to my devotees is performing the supreme devotional service and will certainly attain me. There is no doubt. We have to understand that the word here, the central word here, is abhidashati, which means to explain, not to enforce. Explaining means helping people to actually understand. And that's the best thing you can do for people, because you are liberating them from the real suffering. Because material sufferings that are connected to the material level, the gross physical level, are, of course, they're unpleasant. We'll try to avoid them, but they're never as bad as the mental suffering. So we can learn to control the physical pain up to a point, of course, because after that, after the limit, you actually die. But if the physical pain is limited, is reasonable, we can learn to control it. But the mental pain coming from the attachment, the fear, hatred, and all these things are much worse, because they actually consume us much more. Let's say we lose, a bag with money. Okay. Yeah, of course we lost the money. Yeah, right. It's not happy news. But just imagine you lost a bag of money, and then for the rest of your life you are, tormenting yourself about losing that money. Oh, someone stole it. Who can it be? And I was stupid and didn't take care. There is no end to this suffering. We should learn that we should give up our material identifications and attachments. We do our duty the best possible way, and then, okay, we have loss and we have gain. We have victory and we have defeat. So, okay, yeah, well, let's move on. So, this is the best thing we can do for people, helping them to overcome ahankara and mamata. Because their life will be so much better in this world and in the next. In this world, they will live, in a much happier way. And after dying, they will be on the liberated platform, so they will not have to take again another material body, which is liberation. They can do whatever they want. If they want to take birth again, they can take birth again, but they will not be forced to. They will not have to. So, up to here, everything clear.
Yeah.
Any
Yes.
questions?
Any questions?
So here, you mentioned that, we should not enforce, and we should only
Yes.
educate those who are,
Yes.
ready to listen. But sometimes, some of our friends or somebody, they might not be directly ready to listen, but in some way, if they are in directly, if you say, okay, let's discuss Gita, they may say, okay, I'm not interested. But sometime if they need something, in their routine life, they are facing some difficulties, and if you try to help them, so that also should not be done, because they are rigid towards.
If they don't want to listen, if they're willing to listen, maybe not the exact words of Bhagavad Gita, but the contents of the Bhagavad Gita, the substance of Bhagavad Gita. If they are willing to listen to that, we should give it to them. We should not give much to people who don't want to listen to anything. Because that's going to backfire. They're going to get angry at us. They're going to, create problems instead of solutions. Because they think we are, enforcing something. We are, imposing something on them. So they will become allergic. If sometimes if you eat too much of one food, then you don't digest it, and then you become allergic. We don't want people to become allergic to Bhagavad Gita. Because then they will not listen. There are opportunities, future opportunities. If we don't insist, maybe in the future, they will change their mind. They will say, oh, you're reading Gita. I remember you were telling me years ago you were reading Gita. Now actually I would like to know better about it. If you don't push too much in the future, they may be more favorable. If you push too much, they will become allergic. So their opportunity for progress and evolution, becomes more difficult. But whenever they are ready to listen to anything, that's very good, because that's the best thing you can do to work for the benefit of, all living beings. I don't know, is that clear? Does
Yes,
that answer your question?
got it. Yes.
Okay. So, started to rain. Maybe I should close the window. Just a minute. Okay. Oops. And okay. Yeah, this is the rainy season. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. And there it is. But at least this window is closed. So now next verse. Up till here, everything okay? Yeah. No other
Yes.
questions. Okay. So let's go. Next verse. 69. Nobody among all human beings is dearer to me, and nobody else will ever be dearer to me in this world. That's why, because even Bhagavan is coming as avatar to do this work. If we assist Bhagavan in this work, of course we are doing the most direct service to Bhagavan. The same function. You see, in fact, it is such a sacred mission that Bhagavan himself directly descends in the world from time to time, in this world, from time to perform the same function. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I manifest myself yuga after yuga to protect the good people, destroy the evildoers, and to establish the knowledge of Dharma. And of course, knowledge of Dharma is not give up Dharma, give up the differences that are applied materially to the concept of Dharma. That's a different thing. Okay. This is also confirmed in Bhagavata Purana. Vyaktam atmavatam atma bhagavan atma bhavana swanam anugrahayemam siddharupi charatyaja. In this way, Bhagavan, the unborn, walks around in the form of a perfectly realized soul to enlighten those who are determined to attain spiritual realization. So this is again going back to chapter 4 and underlining, highlighting sa evayam maya teadya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakachati rahasyam hi etaduttamam. Today I'm explaining to you the same knowledge of yoga that was discussed in the ancient times, because you are my devotee and friend. I give you this supreme secret. So again, we should only give to the people who are sincerely interested in listening, in hearing. Okay. Then Sukadeva, Parikshit. Okay, we have all the commentary if you want to read. Then 70. One who studies this conversation of ours about Dharma will be worshipping me through the celebration of knowledge. This is my opinion. Adhyeshate, we study. Cha ya imam dharmyam sambadamavayo. This conversation about Dharma, singular, not plural. Jnana yagyena tenaham ishta syam itime mati. Krishna says, this is my opinion, this is my my knowledge, my belief, my my mind, that a person who is studying the Bhagavad Gita sincerely will be worshipping God through the celebration of knowledge. So knowledge is very important. Okay. Mainstream academics, yeah. Okay. Genuine Vedic tradition.
So can you put more details on this celebration of knowledge?
Celebration of knowledge. Yes, that is the Jnana Yagyena. Celebration as in the sacrifice, performing, celebrating the yagya. And yagya, in fact, is a celebration in the sense that it is joyful, that it is, when Krishna says, Yad karoshi yadasnasi yadjuhosi dadasiya, mat kurushva, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, is a yagya. And it makes us happy because we know we are doing the right thing. Yagyartat karmano nyatra. Karmana, all the actions should be performed as a yagya. And that is happiness, because when we are performing all the actions, all our actions, all our activities, all our choices, as a service, as a celebration, a sacred celebration of life, of the opportunity to serve God, the opportunity to do something good for the universal community, for ourselves and for everybody else. This is a celebration of knowledge. Everything starts from knowledge. If we try to do yajna without knowledge, the Shastras warn us, it will just be like, offering oblations of ghee into the ash. What's the benefit of doing ahuti of ghee into the ash? There's no fire. What's the point? So the fire of knowledge is what will reduce all the karma to ashes, all the ignorance and all the bad things to ashes. So it's a fire, and the celebration of fire is beautiful, is radiant, it warms our hearts, not only our bodies, and gives light, and is doing so many things for our benefit. So, jnana yagyena, tena aham ishta. Ishta means worshipped, but it is also desired. So like Ishtadevata. Tenaham Ishtasyam. I will be worshipped. I will be dear to that person. I will become strongly connected with that person in this way. I don't know. Is this answering your question?
Yes.
Any more elaboration on this?
No.
Okay.
We can find.
So we go on. We have, I think this is the, okay, going on, 71. Any human being who will listen to this discussion with faith, free from envy and hostility, will become liberated and attain the auspicious planets of those who have performed virtuous deeds. Okay, this is a Palashruti, basically. Palashruti is, some candy, some dessert, that is given at the end of some stuti or, scripture explanation or sadhana and everything. So you'll get all the blessings, you'll get good results also in the material world. Means will become liberated and attain the auspicious planets of those who have performed virtuous deeds. This can be the Svarga or beyond Svarga. Now, liberated means liberated from many things. So mukta means when he is liberated, when he attains moksha. But this is not stopping. When we attain moksha, we don't need to take birth, but we can take birth, on the higher planets to continue to assist Bhagavan's mission. Like here, in this verse, the word mukta is particularly interesting. One who has attained liberation is free from material conditionings, free from the need to take another birth in this world, and from the identification with the body and mind she is still wearing, means Jivan Mukta. This means that he is also free to remain in the world, or to descend again in this world, not as a prisoner of the jail, but as a social worker to assist Bhagavan's missions. These are the devas who reside on the higher planet. Subham. This is, Subham Loka Prapnuya. And the Mahajanas and Chiranjeevis like Dhruva, Prahlad, Janaka, Bali, Sukadeva, Hanuman, Vyasa, Narada, Kumaras, etc. In the previous verse, Krishna clearly stated that the Jnana Yagya, the sacred act of cultivating knowledge through the sincere study, adhyesha, of Bhagavad Gita, is a genuine method of worship that really pleases God. Ishtasyam. I will be pleased This is what I desire, says Krishna. In fact, it is the best form of worship. As Krishna has said a few verses earlier, we should ask ourselves whether we really understand the meaning and purpose of worship, because people influenced by tamas and rajas can easily become confused on the subject and even project their own mentality and motivations on God, surmising that God must think and act in the same way and logic like they do. So we have more information about the worship. And then we have verse 72. O Partha, have you listened to all this with full concentration of consciousness? O Dhananjaya, has your confusion of ignorance been destroyed? Then we have Arjuna Uvacha, 73. Arjuna said, O Achyuta, by your blessing my confusion has been destroyed, and I have regained my memory. I am firmly established, and the doubts have gone. I will follow your instructions. Okay, then we have some more commentaries. Are you usually reading the commentaries? No, we're just reading the translation.
Just reading the translation.
No, translate. Commentary I've read till chapter 9 or something. Post that
Okay.
I'm yet to continue.
Oh, well, we can, work on that. Okay, then we have Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said, thus I have heard this conversation between Vasudeva and Arjuna, the great soul. It is so wonderful that my hair is standing on end. This is a symptom of ecstasy. Emotion, strong emotion. 75. By the grace of Vyasa, I could hear the supreme transcendental secret of yoga directly from the very words spoken by Krishna, the Lord of Yoga. And then we have verse 76. O King, every time I think of this extraordinary and sacred conversation between Keshava and Arjuna, I feel a great happiness. Yeah, that's the purpose of life, finding the real happiness. The celebration. Okay. And 77. A great king, constantly thinking of the wonderful form of Hari, I am feeling waves of joy and amazement, again and again. And this is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. Wherever is Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and Arjuna, the great archer, there will be prosperity, victory, glory, determination, and morality. This is my opinion. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. This is my opinion. So this is the end, last verse of Bhagavad Gita. And we have all the commentary here. The closing verse in the text of Bhagavad Gita is a blessing again, it's a parashuti, a declaration of the merits of association with Krishna and Arjuna through the reading and the remembering of their conversation. So basically, here, this was already mentioned in the verse 71. Shraddhavan anasuyascha srinuyad apit yonara sopi mukta subhav lokan prapnuyad punya karma. Any human being who will listen to the discussion with faith, free from envy and hostility, will become liberated and attain the auspicious planets of those who have performed virtuous deeds. Okay, so any question at the end of the story?
Yeah, like one thing,
Yes.
like some people say that since this Gita is in form of, and like Mahabharata itself is a kavya, right? It's a poem. So
Sorry, Mahabharata
it's
itself
highly
is what?
unlikely that, like, they like,
Mahabharata itself is what?
kavya in, like, it's a
Oh,
poem
Kavya, yes,
written
yes,
in,
yes, yes,
yeah.
poem. Yeah.
So it seems it's like, highly unlikely that like, Arjun and Krishna were singing like that. So it's Vyasa's version of, like, of whatever discussion they would have
I
had.
don't
And
know, I
so
don't
how
know,
to
because,
interpret that?
yeah, before Kali Yuga, people are much more intelligent, you know, and still, deep into Kali Yuga until rather recently, there were poets who were able to write, incredible, things. Like there were, for example, one poetic technique in Orissa that is using 40 verses, and each first letter of the verse is read in sequence and gives a sentence, or there are poems full of alliterations. Alliteration means lots of words that begin with the same letter. We can see it, for example, also in the Vishnu Sahasranam. So the Kavis of ancient times, just a few hundreds of years ago, we still had people like that, much more refined, much more skilled than we are. And here we are talking about Krishna and Arjuna. They are not exactly ordinary people. So I tend to believe that this is exactly what Krishna wanted to say. Because it's precise. Bhagavad Gita is very clear, very simple, but very precise. I was reading some days back about autism, which is considered now everything is autistic. Everyone is autistic. And they are saying that the characteristic of autism is the interest in being very precise. Thank you, I like that. I want to be autistic, thank you very much. Because precision in what we say and what we hear, what we listen to, is so important, because it prevents misunderstandings, misinterpretations. And sometimes autistic people who are diagnosed as autistic, at least, they are, real geniuses. They can do, very big, mathematical calculations just, by heart, by memory. And they remember the details so clearly. So this is, amply within the human power, to have this very, technical, poetic language. Why not? I believe that's very possible, that this, dialogue is really what Krishna said. But even if it's not, even if Vyasa gave it a little polish, even if, I'm not saying that he did, but even if, what's the problem? to all
Yeah, that's
purposes.
also
Yeah.
yeah, that's also point. Like, okay, if it is Vyasa's version, also the
Yes.
content
Yeah.
is
Yeah. To all purposes and effects. Vyasa is also a manifestation, is also an avatar.
Hmm.
So whatever we got from Bhagavad Gita is, in my opinion, this is my opinion, Matir Bama. My opinion, Bhagavad Gita is perfect. Whoever wrote it, whoever spoke it, that's definitely perfect. And we can, you know, verify, experience, experiment its teachings on ourselves, and they work. So, if you have, for example, let's say Pythagoras' theorem, do we really care it is Pythagoras who wrote it? Why? We're just, ascribing it to Pythagoras, but before Pythagoras, we find that same theorem in some Vedic mathematical texts. So, we really bother about who actually expressed this theorem? Nobody's invented it, because mathematics is not something you invent, it's something you discover that was there already. You understand? So
yes,
this knowledge is eternal.
Knowledge
Right?
is eternal.
It's not that Krishna invented,
Not
he
that
was the
Krishna
first one to
invented, he was the
invent it
first one to invent
5,000
it
years ago. So,
5,000
who
years ago.
invented
So,
Bhagavad Gita?
when the
Krishna
Bhagavad
or Vyasa?
Gita, yes.
Neither.
Constant.
It's already, always been
Already,
there.
always been there.
correct.
So also
You
the
know,
rishis. Someone was asking me on Quora, who
Quora,
wrote the Vedas? Did Krishna
wrote
write the Vedas? Why did Krishna doesn't? That was not his mission. Of writing the Vedas. That was done by Vyasa. But even Vyasa didn't. Is not the author of the Vedas. He compiled the Vedas because he knew that in Kali Yuga, people, human society would become a collective Alzheimer patient. When you have to write, the address, on some paper, the address of your grandfather's house, and put the piece of paper in his pocket, it's not because your grandfather has become much more, evolved. He's losing his memory. He doesn't remember his address. So you need to write it down. So the Abrahamic and post-Abrahamic paradigm version of history is that the invention of the writing was a great technical and scientific progress. It was not. It was a symptom of dementia. Because people started to need to write down the stuff, otherwise they will not remember correctly. They're making a mess. So that's the perspective of the Vedic tradition. Vedic tradition is saying that Vedic tradition says that Kali Yuga. Okay.
What happened?
Telephone spam some. Oh Baba. Let's see if I can switch off the phone. Usually I don't, but sometimes I need to. Okay. So, as I was saying, the Vedic tradition clearly says that we are on a degrading, in a decadence slide. We are going from the Satya Yuga to the Treta Yuga to the Dwapara Yuga and then to the Kali Yuga. This is not progress. This is devolution. It's not evolution, it's devolution. Human beings are becoming more stupid. More ignorant and more stupid. They're not becoming more advanced. Just have a look around. Where is mankind going? Do you think that they are more advanced? They're not. They're a disaster. We are, blowing up our own planet, under our own feet. How you call someone who tests a nuclear bomb in their own basement? Not exactly very intelligent. Now people say, oh, look, now he knows how to make a nuclear bomb. How intelligent. Oh, progress. Yeah, Baba, you are, breaking down your own house. You do experiments underground, and then 2 days later you have you are crying because you got an earthquake that destroyed the whole region. How intelligent is that? How much progress is that? That's not progress. That's Kali Yuga people. That's Kali Yuga people. So, yeah, so does this answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so we reached the end of the cycle of reading the translation, the verses of Bhagavad Gita. I thank you so much for your determination and sincerity
for your
and support.
time and patience.
Oh, no, this is my work. Okay, so let's let's close this particular session. I stop the recording, and then we'll see. We can discuss maybe for the future if we want to go through it again, or if we want to go through some other text, as you like. Okay. Jai Jagannath, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Bhagavad Gita, Jai Arjuna.